Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today in this video I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful dress. So if you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please hit on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And if you're interested in learning how to sew this, keep on watching and let's get started. So guys, these are the two fabrics I'm going to be using to make this dress. So I have this beautiful Ankara print here. I have about half yard of it, but I would advise that you get at least 1 yard. And then for this black, I am making use of crepe, and it's a fabric that has stretch on one side. So these are the two fabrics I'm going to be using to recreate this dress. So let's get started. So I'm going to be drafting the pattern for this dress on this pattern paper. So we're just going to go ahead and start by drawing a straight line across, which is going to serve as our shoulder line. Now from this shoulder line, I'm going to mark down to my bust point, and my bust point is 10 inches. So I'm just going to mark it here. Still leaving my tape there, I'm marking my under bust line, which is 13, my waistline, which is 16, and then I'm marking my hip, which is 21. And then I'll also mark the full length I want this dress to be. So I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to just connect these to give me lines. So now this is my shoulder line here. This is my bust line. This is my under bust line. This is the waistline. This is the hip line. And then we just call this the length of the dress. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do now is from the shoulder. I'm going to go ahead and divide my shoulder by 2. So my shoulder is 14 and that divided by 2 is 7. So you're going to go ahead and divide your shoulder by 2 and make a mark there. And after getting that mark, you go down by 1 inch like I just did, and then slope it into the shoulder line. So from the center of the dress, I came in by 3 inches. This is going to be the width of my neckline. So after that, I'm coming down to this shoulder. So I came down by my armhole depth. The formula on how you can calculate yours is right on the screen. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to draw a straight line down to meet that point, and then drew it to the side. So I just labeled it the chest line. So I'm just going to use my curve to just create an armhole. I'm not bothering myself with getting the middle of this armhole today because this is going to be sleeveless and we're going to be twisting the sleeve, so we don't really need that. It's not really necessary here. So as you can see, I just curved my armhole into the chest line. And now what we're going to do is on this bust line, you're going to go ahead and divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2, and you're going to mark it there. You mark it on the under bust line as well. You mark it on the waistline as well, and then you mark it on the hip line. So now I'm going to use my ruler to connect them into a straight line. So now from the bust line, you will come down by 1 inch, and you're going to make a point there. Now after that, you come to the waistline. From this line here, you're going to go in and out on both sides of the line by 1/2 inch. So you're just going to connect the line just the same way I'm doing it right now. So now that we're done getting the dart, the next thing I went ahead to do is from this bust line here, I'm going to go up. Now this is totally dependent on how much cleavage you're willing to show. Me, I want mine to be totally covered, so I went up by 1.5 inch, and from that point I went in by 1/2 inch. And I just created a little line there like you see, and from that line I'm just connecting it into the point I made earlier for the neckline. So guys, from this point here, I'm going to create a curve into the under bust line. So we're just going to place our rule like this and curve it into the other bust line. So now from this place here, I will just mark in. I will just go in by 1 inch like this. Then I will, from that 1 inch point I just made, also curve it into the under bust line. So I'll curve it all the way to the armhole, and this is basically it for the curve. So I've drafted similar patterns on the channel already severally, so if you're yet to understand this, you can go ahead and check out all the other ones. So basically right now I'm just marking my bust measurement, and then I added 1 inch for stitching allowance, and then on the waistline I marked my waist measurement divided by 4, replaced the dart, and then added 1 inch for stitching allowance. And on the hip line, I'm dividing my hip measurement by 4 and I'm adding 1 inch for stitching allowance. So I'll just from the hip line extend the line all the way to the end of this dress. So as you can see, I'm using my curves to just connect my lines. So this is basically all for the front pattern. I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So you can see the part I cut, and then for this cup that I separated from the actual dress, I went ahead to cut it into 2 equal halves so that I'll be able to make gathers for the cup. So now let's go ahead and check out the back pattern. So guys, for the back, I've already gone ahead to draft out the basic bodies. I've done the dart, I have my chest line and all the lines here, and you'll notice that I have a space here for my zipper. So this is the major difference between the front and the back. Every other thing is almost the same except the fact that I have a little bit of space in front for my zipper allowance. And also for the neckline, I have decided that I'm going to draw from my bust line all the way to the top to give me my neckline. So as you can see, I'm just connecting a V from the top to the bust line and then connected it into the zipper allowance. So from here up, it's going to be the yoke for the back. So guys, the next thing you're going to go ahead and do is on this waistline, you're going to just extend the line into the zipper allowance, and the next thing you will come out by 1 inch just like I did here. So from that 1 inch point, I will just connect slanted lines into the bust line and then just connect it down also into the waist, into the hip line, sorry. So this is going to help me avoid bulging of my zipper at the back of my dress. So that's basically all. Now we'll just go ahead and cut this out as well. So like I said earlier, this area here is going to be the yoke. So that's basically all for the front and the back patterns of this dress. So now we'll just go ahead and use these patterns to cut out on my actual fabric. So this is what it looks like. You can see that the yoke for the front, I went ahead to spread it out a little bit by 2 inches while I was cutting it on the actual fabric. I cut the back yoke exactly as it is, and then I used the black fabric to cut out the body of the dress. So this is basically it. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to, as you can see, I'm arranging my my pattern paper so that I'll be able to make notches on the places where my darts are going to be. So I'm going to make notches here in front, and I will do the same thing for the back as well, so I know exactly where my darts will be. So now I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to go ahead and stitch my darts on the actual fabric, and then I'll do it for both the front and the back pieces. And the next thing I'm going to do is on these cups, let's go ahead and remove the pins. The cup is actually the major part of this dress, so you have to pay a lot of attention to what I'm doing here. So you can see I have 2 pieces for both sides, 2 for the left and 2 for the right. So I have the same thing for the back yoke as well, 2 for both sides. You must use the exact same fabric to line this particular cup for it to be able to look the way it looks in this pattern. So now the twist to it is that we're going to go ahead and first of all, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is stitch down the front yoke and the back yoke on the shoulder. So we stitch down the actual fabric, we'll stitch down the lining as well. So I'll stitch this down on the shoulder so it will end up looking like this. I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm trying to explain. So I'm going to stitch down the lining pieces as well, and I will also stitch down the other parts. So now for the other parts of the dress, I've gone ahead to stitch down my darts on both the front and the back pieces. So this is what it is looking like right now. So like I said I was going to do, I've gone ahead to stitch down the yokes on the shoulder. So this is what I have for one part, so you can see, and this is the other part like this. So this is how they are going to go ahead and just come together to form one part of my sleeve. I don't know if you guys understand. So this is what I have. Now I have these two as well for the other parts. So now this is how we are going to join it. So you would turn it to the wrong side, like I'm doing like this. Ensure that you place them well and you're arranging everything properly. So we're going to stitch down this neckline here before the curve, and we'll stitch down the armhole. So I'll do it for the both pieces, and after I was done, this is what I had. So I'm just going ahead to turn it over to the right sides, and I'm doing it for the both pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and iron them out. So my loves, this is what it looks like after I was through ironing it out. So now you can see the front and the back pieces and how they are going to stand on my chest. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is to go over on this curve. I'm going to make a gather stitch on the both cups. So guys, I've made my stitch, and I'm very sure it's not really showing right now because of the color of the fabric I'm using, but I'm just pulling on one of the top threads. I do gathers here on this channel almost all the time, so I'm just pulling on one of the top threads to give me a little bit of gathers, as you see me doing like this. So I'll do it for the two cups. So guys, at this point I decided to just experiment with that twist effect around the shoulder, and you can see how nicely it's looking right now. Anyways, we are not there yet. Let's just continue to make our gathers. So I'm through making the gathers for the two cups, and this is what it is looking like. And now I'm going to go ahead and stitch these around the cup area of the actual dress. So you're going to go ahead and turn this cup over to the wrong side, and you're just going to arrange it to be sure that the cup is going to fit perfectly into the space we have for it to fit into. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin this on my cup with a pin. So guys, after pinning it up, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch around the cup, and I went ahead to do the same thing for the two pieces. So this is what I had after I was done stitching it down, and you can see how nicely it's looking from the inside. So yeah, this is it for the front piece right now. So because I'm working with a stretch fabric, I'm not going to be lining it like I always do. So I cut it a tiny piece to use and cover up this middle of my cup so that it comes out nicely, so that it goes in like this and finish up this area. So I'm just going to head over to the sewing machine and stitch this, and then turn it over to the back and stitch it towards the cup area to secure this place nicely. So guys, I've done it, and I've gone ahead to turn it over and secure it towards the cups so that it stays nicely. So later I'll go ahead and just hem the ends of those cups. I'm going to weave it. That's what we normally call it here. So I'll weave it so that it comes out nicely there, since we are not going to line it. So now the next thing we're going to go ahead and do, as you can see, I'm arranging the back yokes. Can you see how nicely it looks? So we are going to now join the back pieces to the yoke. So guys, after arranging it, we're just going to go ahead and ensure that you are placing the yoke from this side. So you place the yoke exactly from the side, so that whatever is left in the middle is going to serve as your zipper allowance. So I'll just go ahead and pin it down, and we'll go over to the sewing machine and stitch this down here and do the same thing for the other side. So guys, after I was done stitching it down, this is what I have. So this is what the back is looking like right now. So this is what I have. So I've gone ahead to open it up, and it's time for us to twist our cup towards the side. Can you see what I'm doing right now? So I'm making twists, and I'm counting the number of twists. So I think I ended up with about 4 twists. So when you've twisted it like you see me doing like this, you're going to now connect the sides after twisting. Can you see what I just did here? So you're going to ensure that the shoulder is twisted, and then you will hold the sides together so that it doesn't move away. So I'm just going to hold the sides with my pin, and I will twist the other side as well with just the same number of twists I did on this first side. So guys, this is what we have after I was done pinning it down. I'm also going ahead to pin down the middle of the back where my zipper is going to be, because we are going to be stitching down from somewhere here down to almost the end, and I will go ahead and stitch down the sides as well. So guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching down the both sides, and you can see our twisted sleeve right here looking nice and pretty. And if we turn it over to the back, look at what the back is looking like. I left some space at this top area here for me to fix my zipper, and then another little bit of space for my slits at the back. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to fix my zipper to the back and then hem the ends of the dress. So guys, this is what the dress looks like after I was done hemming this end, and I've gone ahead to fix the zipper to the back as well. So this is basically it for this twisted sleeve dress. It's very easy. So this is how nicely it looks on me after I wore it. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Please hit on the subscribe button if you are yet to subscribe.